their newest changeup going to continue being awesome here. Tweet us at Heroes Esports and use the hashtag HGC.
And if you don't really have an opinion on the last game, you can always tell us if Arthur's or Murky looks more cute. I actually love these, by the way. We have a ton of them.
I want a little crummy one. Let's check out our battleground. Game number 2. Where are we going? Let's find out. As it's going to be Team Liquid's pick. It would appear that Tricked Esports is going to stay with the first pick. Their Arthur's first pick, it seemed like it was really strong, but it just didn't work out against that double global.
Yeah, it was really just like that they lacked the global. That was a problem for them, and they didn't really mind. You can really tell once that they actually started to head into the rest of the draft that they were not to worry about it because they immediately picked their next set. Every time that you see a team pick this fast, you know that they thought the situations that could occur through and they were expecting it. So they probably had a couple of scenarios where they said, okay, either they're going to pick the false Dehaka or they pick XYZ. If they do this, we do that. That's why sometimes you up to the second bands, you see immediately the picks are coming in like this. So it's not really that they necessarily got outdrafted from their point of view in that moment. They just feel very confident with it, but it backfired. So they need to change their MO a little bit.
Well, let's see if they can pull it off here on Towers of Doom. This is a battleground that Team Liquid is famous for in terms of their strength. They always seem to really solidify the lead and keep up with it. The Ragnar's play in particular is something they started using a lot in the early stages of the HGC in the first couple of weeks, and one that they can continue to run if they would like. First ban going over to Tricked Esport.
Yeah, Trick going into the first ban here, and I mean, talking about globals again, since this is of course another big map where globals gain a lot of value, you have a couple of approaches to this setup. They could ban one of them, for example, out, could pick the other one up, or just attempt to deny some of those to Team Liquid. Then we still have heroes like Lucio around, the Tacita. We talked about the double supports that we've already seen on the last Towers of Doom game. So there's quite a few options. And this is already showing, like, look how far in we already are at this point. This is very different from what happened on the first map.
Because you have two things to think about. One, the globals, and two, Tassadar, which Tricked Esport has been pretty outspoken about. They do not like Tassadar and what he brings to the game. Yeah. They really just don't want to deal with that pressure coming their way. If they do actually ban on Tassadar, I would love to see them actually move into a global play, which is something that we don't normally see from them unless it's Dehaka.
They have to right now. Tassadar banned and the ban on Lucio. If you are really that averted gain of playing Tassadar yourself, then you give up that ban more or less for free, and that's an issue.
And they give
again
it
the
Dehaka.
others. I would not be shocked to see Team Liquid just prioritizing globals again.
With it being Towers of Doom, I don't see why not.
Yeah, it's a great map for it. And Tricked again, like with Trick going into this particular style right now, it's once again them saying, we are absolutely confident we can pull this off. The problem was not the draft. We messed up somewhere else. We are better than this. We can actually take you down using those tools.
If they give up the false out into Dehaka here, which is if Team Liquid actually moves into it, I want to see a Tyrael later on down the line just because you want to have some kind of control with the bosses and also get the engages that you want. And also to give them the opportunity to go in for a hard engage with a certification, grab any type of attacks for them so they can get on top of Team Liquid and win the team fights that they would love to have. Also, maybe stay away from giving away any type of silence from happening. There were a couple of moments where Arthas just couldn't use Army of the Dead in the last fight. That really hurt for them. Dehaka, Malfurion, picked up for Team Liquid.
Team Liquid had the chance to go for Falstad, and they said, if we go Falstad here, they are using Malfurion together with Arthas against us. We don't want that. We have already Tassadar and Lucio banned out. One global is all that we need for now. That Dehaka is insane. Absolutely crazy what they've been able to pull off with him during the season, also at the Western Clash. So in this case, they're just saying that Dehaka is all that we need for now. If we can get more on a global perspective later, we can still follow that up. But for now, let's make the Malfurion more of a priority. Also because his Moonburn is, his Moonfire is absolutely fantastic. And if you're just trying to interrupt the channels on the altars, and that's going to play a huge role on this battleground as well.
Well, another too, the Dehaka is something that Tricked Esports will go for. Falstad a little bit less overall. They prioritize Falstad much less than they do the Dehaka life. They grab Falstad here, Vala and Arthas, but Team Liquid is willing to take away the strong power play that they normally run with, which is that Dehaka.
Yeah, when we're talking about like the setup that they have, interrupts are important here. This is one of the things which is really crucial, because with Malfurion being chosen in this case, you have a few interrupts available for you, and I expect that we are going to see a few more of them. As for example, this is one of the reasons why we saw earlier when Fnatic was playing against Expert, them also like speccing into the Zarya quite a bit, just so that you have that particle grenade you can use for an interrupt, prolong the fight a bit, which works in your favor then too.
Sure.
So this is something to keep in mind here when we're talking about the picks that we could see. But what Team Liquid still needs, they need a second frontliner, they need a second tank, it's like that, we're going to see that soon, and they need to start going into their damage dealers.
The HGC ban makes sense because, of course, as you mentioned, Tricked Esport needs some kind of engage here. The Arthas isn't the one that's going to really do that for the team. So if Team Liquid were to take Varian or a Nubrak here, it only leaves one option for Tricked Esport. So we'll see what Team Liquid will be picking up. I hope they grab the Nubrak, though, because they really, really landed that hero.
Yeah, Nubarak would be good for them. It's interesting that we have now also the Greymane banned out here, because you pick the Falstad, you pick the Vala, you ban out the Greymane, and all of a sudden, like, what do you leave your opponent when it comes to the direct damage? Gul'dan doesn't really shock. They played him very well on the last map. He's also, like, adding a mage to the setup is, of course, always good. The question, like most of the teams, when they go into a double backline, they want to have a mage and they want to have a direct damage dealer. And most of the meta direct damage dealers have now been taken out. The highest priority that we see these days are the Greymane and the Vala. Falstad also taken away because of the global. So Liquid, with their last pick, needs someone that can hit a bit hard. And there's a couple of options out there. They could also spec into the second mage. I'm not sure, maybe for the interrupts. How do you feel about it?
Double mage life? Oh, man.
How do you feel about that?
Okay.
Not even a Chromie?
Not even a Chromie, man. With gold and Chromie, I don't know. It's possible. I think Tychus might be one that move to. It's just one that we've seen a lot from Team Liquid in the past, and they run it well. If they ever have to run the Tychus, they just seem to know when to pick it. Varian and Ariel has been the choice here for Tricked Esport, so they get that engage that we were talking about, Varian being the last option available, and they get that Ariel, which can be the mana battery here for Vala. And yeah, we need more damage here. Zul'jin could actually be an option. The problem with Zul'jin is Varian, parry, Malfurion. Yeah. Things are so difficult for him to run.
Like in a different setup, I would have said, we have seen a bit more Zul'jin, I would have said, okay, that is an option for you. With the Malfurion, I really don't like him too much. It always feels a little bit awkward to me. So in this case, I would rather have the Tychus. If they want to go for one of those, you can burst the Arthas down a little bit more. The problem is still that we have such a heavy engage for Trick. It's going to be tricky.
Wow.
All right, Zeratul with this setup. Now, that's an interesting choice, actually.
I'm thinking on this one.
Yeah, Zeratul, I mean, you can combo it with the root on Malfurion here. Zeratul into the Arthas and the Varian. Oh boy, that is going to be a rough game for Mr. Zeratul here.
It's going to be a rough one, yeah, as you mentioned. I mean, especially with Arthas, the E being available, you can always reveal him and get the auto text from Vala and Fall, so they can follow it up really well. The VP, of course, is great. I do think Team Liquid is putting themselves in a spot here where they can't lose map control.
Taunt.
Yeah.
It's going to be a huge problem. Like, you pop out, immediately there's Varian, charge in, gets the taunt, and then the lockdown with a Howling Blast, and you are in a very rough spot and very likely to fall, especially since there's no panic button heal for you. So the rest of the team has to immediately be there, completely on point with stuns and everything else to help the target out. This is not going to be an easy game. That Zeratul can have a huge impact, but it's a very tricky comp to run, I feel, in comparison.
I do think Zeratul and a Nubrak have early game invade that is very important here, especially against Tricked Esports. If you can grab the mercenary camps and somehow take away the sappers in the bottom right and get some pressure on that bottom and open up a fort, Tricked Esports will have a hard time coming back, even though they have Falstad and Vala. There's also the potential for Zeratul to be aggressive on Ariel and maybe force in early ages, but again, the taunt. Things are looking a little bit harder for Team Liquid in terms of draft than I would normally expect from them.
I think that draft is fine. It's very hard to execute compared to what Tricked is running here. Yeah. Like, you have a lot of options for very, very good setups that they can use and where they can try and get an isolation kill with a good... Like, they have a lot of tools where they can control the battleground. They have a Void Prison, they have the Horrify, so they can really just try and section the opponent off and get kills there. So that would be one way how you can approach it. There's a couple, but it's a comp that is harder to execute than what is being run on the side of Tricked Esports.
Also, to talk about it, boss control. I guess in Nubrak, it can be good with the Unstoppable to burrow charge in. You do have VPs to slow it down, but the Mighty Guts being there for Tricked Esports. Man, yeah, I don't know how to paint it any other way. If it wasn't Team Liquid here, and I were given these drafts without names on them, I would lean heavily towards Tricked Esport. Almost 65-35 to a degree, just because of how much control, strength, and engage they have.
Yeah, it's just for me really the rough amount of like skill that we have on the side of Team Liquid and how they're able to make these things work, how they're really on point using their cooldowns and like channeling the abilities. So I feel this is going to be, it's going to be a lot harder for them to play this than what we have Trick trying to execute here. But if there's a team that can pull it off, they're definitely one of the few.
Yeah, the wave clear is pretty good here. You have Gul'dan, you have Zeratul. So if they do push it, and until 7, Falsehead's sleep clear does go up pretty significantly. Varian not very good at wave clear. He has his Q, but yeah, for the most part, Team Liquid, their early game has to be dominant. That's where I'm looking at this game.
Yeah, it's also one of the things you have to be really on point with your positioning, especially on the Gul'dan. I mean, the risk is really that you're getting engaged by a Varian and an Arthas follows it up, because the damage output that you eat after that is gigantic. You have immediately the Vala there. You have also then the false set on top of that. So there is a lot of damage for this. And yeah, it's going to be a little bit rough if they position themselves. But then again, like when we had, for example, Lunara in play.
Sure.
At that point, it was Hazops' Lunara was one of the most, Nurok as well, one of the most scariest to play against, because those guys knew exactly where to position themselves, never went in too deep. And with that particular spot then, they just knew exactly how far they could go. And if you can toe that line really well as a damage dealer, then you usually get great numbers out, you play very safe, and it's extremely frustrating for your opponent to make that big play. And that's the play that Tricked is going to look for, to make a move against Gul'dan, against Malfurion, someone they can blow up with just like focusing on a single target here.
Well, let's see if Team Liquid can stretch the limits here on their draft that they just picked up. We're going into Towers of Doom. The series is currently in the favor of Team Liquid 1-0.
Team Liquid indeed has the lead. They won map number 1, going up against Tricked Esports here. And starting to the left side, we once again have them in the blue. Nurok on the Zeratul. Hazops is playing Gul'dan as expected. Splendor, of course, on the Malfurion. Blumby with the Nuburak, and Dartmok on the Deaka.
On the far right, Tricked Esports will be in the red, and we're going to see how they're going to pull off this Varian Arthas Ariel composition. Here is Crosby pulling on the Vala. Nape will be the Ariel. Alex Proji back on his Arthas. Once again, Crosby will be on the Vala, as mentioned. Eternal on Falstad, Rimmer on the Varian.
Yeah, an immediate fly-in here. Doesn't have... It's actually like an interesting move for him to immediately fly in for this from Eternal, because there's not really too much that he can accomplish with that. I guess if he goes into like any kind of like stacking on level 1, then I would say, okay, I get that. But right now he just like burned that cooldown, gets the earlier vision onto the brush here. But that's a bigger cooldown to burn. They could have used that to just try and set up a gank at some point.
It's all about sending the message, man. You show up first, you're there, you're like, listen, I'm ready. I'll hit my Z button, so you watch out. That was a big deal, man.
It's not a game-losing moment or anything. It's just like, when I see a fly-in usually on the false set, the first thought that I have is, okay, they went into Perfect Storm and he's trying to stack. So then my eyes immediately go up to the top and I see the Season Marksman and I'm confused there for a moment. It's not that this is going to have, or shouldn't really have, a huge impact, but it takes a bit of an opportunity away of a fly-in, and that gives the opponent a bit more safety in the early game. Because if that doesn't happen, then Team Liquid on a solo lane has to always say, like, guys, be careful, false set could fly in behind you.
Well, if they're not playing safe in that top lane, knowing that Zeratul is not quite on the battleground, no one has seen him. So everyone on deck is just making sure to hold safe here. Nurok floating around on the left side here as well, looking for some potentially picks in this early game, but not quite getting them, as everyone from Tricked is just playing so darn safe.
Yeah, a lot of this is definitely going to hinge on Nurok, in my opinion. He needs to be very careful when it comes to Varian after level 10 with the taunt, and he also needs to make sure that he doesn't get locked down when he starts to go in for his poke. So that's one of the things that we have to watch out for. If his Void Prisons are on point, they can really just set up big attacks, or they can isolate during a team fight the backline a bit and try to get the kills there. So the impact of him is going to be crucial. Hazops has a similar role with his Horrify. Nadia has already shown in the last game how strong he is with those ults.
Blumby looking on Alex Proji as they're hoping to clear out these pushers that will be pushing in the bottom lane. But Alex Proji taking a decent amount of damage here. Blumby staying next to him. And Crosby coming from the side will start to focus on top of Hasuav. Darkmaw will come in. He's looking for a drag. Does he hit it after the impale? He actually goes forward, waits it out, not to take any damage, lands a drag on Nape. That was played so well. Blumby dives in as well. It's going to be a 1-for-1 trade in terms of alters and kills.
That is actually interesting that they got that counter kill there. That really looked bad for Tricked for a moment. Oh, and he does again as Crosby's all of a sudden the target. Gets locked down by a root, but able to escape. And all that attack damage, that direct damage that we have here, immediately focused onto the frontliners, the melees. And that forces Team Liquid back, so that was well done. But the original gank that Alex was trying to set up from the side, that was shut down very hard as Team Liquid got the kill against Arthas.
And Tricked Esports rotates down to potentially grab this altar. All 5 members up for both of our teams, and they're not done as they continue to fight over this altar. I'm watching Zeratul, Nurok on the left. He's probably one of the biggest contributors to potentially getting a kill here. Nurok dives in, does hit Nurok. His Hostile up on the left. Both damages have been focused here. There is the drag on top of Vala. There will be Tainment Strike as well, and Darkmonk is forced to burrow for now. Is he going to fall? He does.
Yeah, that burrow definitely sealed his fate right there. I mean, that was just no way for him. His fate. There was no way for him to get out of this situation. But that was a great attainment strike by Gnappa in the first place. That was really well done. Yeah. And also Varian at that bot lane, just a constant pressure in that fight. So a good start for Tricked Esports. After all here, they get 2 of the altars, and that's 8 points missing on the side of Team Liquid's core. So yeah, job well done by them. This, you can really tell that for those melee heroes going up against the Falstad, Vala in combination with the front line that is being run by Tricked isn't easy.
It's not. Team Liquid will need to play out of their minds. They're going to have to be really strong brush stalkers from Darkmonk later on when we get to the late stages of the game. The soaking will happen for both of our teams here, as both teams are currently tied about 6.5 in experience, but Tricked Esports now fighting back here with Sappers pushing in the bottom lane. Luckily for Team Liquid, they do have Hostile on that Gul'dan, so he should be able to deal with that pressure coming his way. These roots from Splendor have been on point, and I just gotta, shout out, Splendor is consistently always doing the right things. I feel like that guy does not make a mistake.
Splendor is absolutely insane. Like, I think the top 3 supports that we have in the European scene right now is definitely Bakery, Smexy, and Splendor, and those 3 are, they're playing out of their mind at times. There's like countless games where you can really see that support is winning the game for them. And especially in the case of like Smexy, we've talked about this in the past, this is extremely fascinating because he was the weak point of that team for a long time. He was the weak link for ages, up to a point where you would really have expected them to drop him. And then he just stepped it up. And Splendor, he was always fantastic. I mean, the amount... The palms, when Karazin was really like in the top of the meta, the palms that this guy sometimes is able to throw out are just out of this world.
Well, out of this world is potentially Varian. He's getting focused down. He's dropping down the Protect, though. Can he get away? He's living for now. There goes a big heal there from Nappy, and Rimmer will live, and Tricked Esports moves on Splendor and gets a takedown after we give him all that praise. Alex Proji's not done, though. He turns around. Oh, but here comes Blumdy. Here goes Nurok, and this is suddenly a bloodbath.
Yeah. Alex barely getting out of there. I saw him dead, and then Auriel moves in and heals him up. But this situation that we just saw is an interesting one, because the thing what happened is we saw a big gank on Varian. Varian surviving thanks to him specking into parry completely. Very difficult to kill. And all of a sudden, Team Liquid doesn't really have the damage output in the fight. Trick went a bit too deep for this one and paid for it by losing one of their heroes. But I feel this is going to be one of the problems that Liquid has to face later on. Are they able to kill the target? And so far, it's been a rough ride for them.
Nappy with a solid attainment right there, keeping Alex Proji alive. And here goes Hostile being focused down. Rimmer in trouble,
Same thing. They go in for Arthas, they can't get the kill, and on the way back, they lose 2.
Team Liquid does get the altar, though. So they get a few more points there, 28-32. Team Liquid currently in the lead, but that kill, those 2 kills actually for Tricked Esports, does get them closer to level 10. And they are pushing in, grabbing experience in the bottom left, hoping to grab that 10 quicker than Team Liquid.
Yeah, right now, Liquid, they need to find a way how they can really get those kills secured, because so far that hasn't really happened. They are great at ganking, and they're great at just like moving in. Oh, Nurok, you beast! But then again, as I say that, he doesn't get the kill. And
I echo that with Nurok, you feeder!
It looked really good. I thought Falstad would die. Nurok might have died on the way back anyways, but I really thought he would be able to secure the kill. But no, it was great play by him after all. A very risky one, and in this case it backfired. But overall, it was a good move.
Oh, Therno walking away with a kill there, 10-9. Tricked Esports looking to take a bell tower, and they'll grab it.
So let me just come back to the killer. The one reason why I say it was a good move, they have 2 heroes at the top lane. So if he trades 1 for 1, it's an advantage for them, because they push in with their own wave and they get an experience lead since they still have a hero in the lane. So that's really important to note here. it's not really worth it to always just trade 1 for 1, and because it can backfire, as we just saw up at the top. But if he manages to go for the trade up here, that gives his team actually an edge.
Opens a window, yeah.
Yeah.
He gets the experience in the towers, able to push him in, False Edge doesn't spawn for a little bit, and then suddenly Zeratul can move down and be the defender's advantage to deal with the bell tower. Yeah, it all makes sense, just sadly did not pay off there for Nurok. Team Liquid finally does hit 10, but this is where life starts to hurt for Team Liquid. They don't have any real major auto attackers to start burning down this bell tower. They're chunking it slowly, but with Tricked Esport setting up and anchoring in this bottom left, they're in a solid position here to keep him away for a solid amount of time.
Team Liquid, the pressure is on them. As we said in the draft, they have a composition that can work, but the execution of the composition has to be flawless. And so far, they just failed to kill that initial target when they were trying to go in, and it backfired against them. Every single time, since the target survives, Trick turns around and gets a kill or even 2, and therefore an advantage. For now, both of the teams are just super happy to simply say, you know what, we're going to trade the altars here up at the top. It's going to be fine. But yeah, Tricked is getting quite a few kills in here. They are behind when it comes to the core damage though, but they're gaining momentum, also thanks to that one that they took at the bot lane.
Darkbach working on hoping to grab this, and we're going to have a big flank here from Nurok as Oxyproji may have stayed too long. The Horrify not hitting the way Hasuovs intends. We're going to have Falstead flying. There's a Eternal here on the left. Darkbach is going to be able to pop his adaptation and turn around and get a slight heal. The Void Prison does pop out. Blumby does hit the Impale, but there's no major follow-up damage, and it's all about this bell tower. Exactly.
That was what Alex was trying to do, being there very much alone, because he tried to delay it for as long as he possibly could so that the rest of the team can meet up with him. So that worked out for them. They're probably just going to let it slide for now and try and take a camp instead. Zeratul is moving in again, but he doesn't have the Void Prison cooldown ready anymore. Okay, so they actually... Yeah, bell tower has been exchanged for the camp over here. Has just been taken.
Love the patience here from Tricked Esport. Grabbing the sappers here so they can actually use them on top of the fort on the left side and make sure they explode right when the bell tower finishes off, if they're able to get in, which forces Team Liquid to stay down here, which has allowed Falstead to head the middle lane and grab experience and keep an eye out in case he wants to fly in for an engage.
Also now Giant Killer time on the side of Falstead. Eternal is in trouble in the mid lane, but able to survive against the Zeratul as we see that fight down here at the bottom. Crosby with a failed attempt to lock down his target with a Rain of Vengeance.
Void Prison up in 30 seconds. Nurok continuing to sit in the middle. Dahaka's got some pressure on the top as he's able to grab the sappers. So Darkmach keeping his team in the game and also keeping pressure on his opponents. The experience is actually tied up. 13 1/4 and a 13 1/4. HGC Sports will grab Mercenaries down here on the right, but one lone altar will spawn here in the middle of the map.
We're also just now 10 minutes in and we have already 33 stacks on Seasoned Marksman. So Eternal has been doing really well here and he is close to completing his quest talent. And once that happens, that front line is going to suffer a lot more that we're seeing for Team Liquid. That extra damage is just going to stack up. And again, they're going in for... That's beautiful. Hasuovs is immediately being attacked, still surviving though, but finally dying. That's the kill they need, the main damage dealer. But Zeratul, in the meantime, is able to wreck the backline, and they are very likely to even pick up a second kill.
Yeah, Nurok was able to take out the Nappe there on Ariel. Splinter attempting to retrieve. The Mighty Gust comes out, and we actually have a Thermal save. Malfurion.
And Arthas dies. It couldn't get really much worse. Blumby gets away. This is horrible for Trick. This looked so good. It would be the death of Malf, but as you said, the Gust saves him. Then Arthas dies anyways, and they can't secure the kill against the Nubarak that they were trying to go for. The altar is still there, and they're aiming for it. Blumby once again moving out. The interrupt is good, and now Nuro comes back. They have to run, and they have to run fast.
Yep, Blumby only had to get one more interrupt, and with Gul'dan showing up to bring in the damage, there's going to be a altar taken, and Team Liquid turns it around. With the assist from the Mighty Gus, unfortunately for Eternal. That one stings. You can see what he was trying to go for there. Hopefully trying to keep somebody off of one of his targets that could have been low, but just didn't pay out the way he wants to, and Team Liquid's going to be happy with that one.
In this scenario, even if he lets Arthas die, but Arthas manages to get the kill against Malfurion and goes for the 1-for-1 trade, it's worth it because they lost their support. Team Liquid, that is. So that would have been great for them. Right now, on the other hand, Nurok up at the top spies out what's happening here. Can't obviously do anything about it, so at least that's something that Tricked has going for themselves. They pick up a few shots against the core of their opponents. So it's still a very close game.
That it is. Some damage here on the bell tower for Team Liquid as they take the opportunity of the boss being grabbed to go ahead and apply some pressure. 15 to 14. Once Team Liquid hits level 16, they are getting towards the later stages of the game. Remember that level 20, the Horrify, the Haunt. With the extra damage that you can apply to your opponents could be enough for Team Liquid to get those kills, especially with Nurok being on the back line and applying that Zeratul damage.
Yeah, so far that with Zeratul that has actually... It's interesting, we had a couple of fights where he had a massive impact and was really able to just get that poke damage and even final kills in there. Whereas, of course, if Varian is able to watch out for him a bit more with that taunt, he's always in danger. And that's one of the things that Nurok so far has done really well. He engaged into that fight when he saw that Varian was busy fighting Inuburak a little bit farther down on the map. So it gave him a lot of safety going in that he would be able to escape.
Darkmonk gets interrupted and he gets picked off and he doesn't even get the bell tower, which is so unfortunate. And it happens right before the 3 altar phase.
Is it me or is that the game of bad luck? I mean, Zeratul at the top, you know, earlier getting that trade or trying for the trade against Fawcett, not getting it. In this case, sacrificing yourself for a bell tower that you don't get. Earlier, the Gust, Malfurion doesn't fall. I mean, what's happening in this game?
Tricked Esport has picked up a couple of voodoo dolls. And they have all the members of Team Liquid cursing them here in this match. Nurok will be able to grab the altar in the top left. In 12 seconds, we will have a Dahak, and he should be able to brush Dahak in because it was interrupted earlier. So Team Liquid just needs to buy time here to stay on the board, but Tricked Esports is not given the opportunity to do so. Big Mighty Gust coming in. Hasuab's low on health, will be forced to use the Horrify. Here comes Dahaka in a second. He's trying to help out with the fight, but already Hasuab's on Gul'dan has fallen. Nurok's going for Nape. Can he get the kill? He goes in for the poke. Nape low on health. He's gonna get it finally, but other members of Team Liquid continue to fall. Tricked Esport continuing to bring out the damage and get an altar.
They get also, it's not only the altar, they also get the camp here, so they can go down to the bottom, get that one first.
More points.
Get 4 points. They're pushing in the middle. It's a quad kill that they get. That's a huge amount of experience. And still Nurok on the Dehaka there. He doesn't want to show on the altar. He knows that eventually he will be picked off. Eternal is able to get away here in the middle. But that's more points. Look at the shots at the bottom. The camp is going through. That's another 2 shots that have just been fired at the core. That's overall 7 points off Team Liquid's score. 11 to 17 thanks to the camp. You win the team fight, you win the altar, you win the camp, and you are still able to pick up 1, maybe even 2 of the bell towers.
And if they lose 2 bell towers, remember earlier when we saw Team Liquid attempting to take their bell tower back, it took them ages to do so, and now that is compounded here by double the bell tower is being taken by Tricked Esport. Now, we're going to have a big fly in the top lane, so we're going to have Tricked attempting to get some damage on Darkmonk. He will be able to survive for now, which is allowed for everyone else to rotate to the bottom and start dealing with the bell tower. But Tricked Esport marching forward with the control of the battleground.
Yeah, and right now they are trying to get another bell tower up at the top. And keep in mind, the one in the middle, it's literally a single hit and it will fall. So they will take that. And at this point, they are looking quite strong here. They gain a lot of momentum. The kill count says it all. 12 against 5.
12 against 5. Team Liquid hoping to get an opportunity back. They do take the bell tower on the bottom right, which was going to be the reward for their efforts earlier in the game when they got to about a quarter of the health. But 20 looming for Tricked Esports. Darkmonk's in the top right. He actually takes away the tower he tried to get instead. So Misfits, or Team Liquid, actually had a couple of tools here to get themselves back in the game, but they are going to be at a major talent disadvantage within about 20 seconds.
Yeah, one of the things that I have to also point out is that this one, yeah, okay, this one has to be taken, because the problem is if you don't take this bell tower now, then your path of retreat is going to be cut off if you're fighting at the bottom. So that was an important step to make. In the meantime, they take out the second one too. So it's just like really trade for trade for trade for trade that we're currently seeing here. And with this, also we have Team Liquid sacrificing the bottom. They're saying like, we can't make that rotation happen the way we need to, the way we want to. So we have to sacrifice those 4 shots. We also don't want to fight because our opponent has level 20.
Yeah, best call there. Just to hold on for the moment here. 20 about to hit finally for Team Liquid, and that'll be their saving grace. There's a boss spawning relatively soon too, so Nurok will have to float around that boss and make sure that it does not get picked up by his opponents.
It's a really interesting game that we have now. And the level 20 talents, of course, are going to give us, again, a huge amount of tools here for both sides. We were talking about upgrading the Horrify, which actually didn't really happen for Gul'dan here.
Wow.
Yeah, the thing is, like, he was the main target. Every single time we see either Varian or Arthur's flank, we saw Falstad fly behind him, so he realizes he needs to have a get-out-of-jail-free card.
Oh, 1-for-1 trade, though. We're going to have the Zeratul taken out with the Vala. Alex Proji on the left side. We're going to have Darkmaw coming in for the big drag. He does hit Ario. Can they get the kill on Nape? They're working on it. Hasselhoff is playing as safe as he can. The Mighty Gust does come out. Team Liquid is able to escape, but a big 1-for-1 trade.
Yeah, the 1-for-1 trade that we have there. And again, they're looking for that fight. And once more, we saw this happening a couple of times now. We have great team fighting on the side of Trick. They're really doing well with a double warrior, double damage composition that they've been using. And for the opponent, it's all about the impact that in particular Zeratul has. And that didn't really work out just yet the way they were hoping for. He gets the kill against Vala, but then again, Varian is there, and they're able to get a counter kill against him. That setup with the Void Prison is important. It's a long cooldown as well. And as long as you still deal with the Arthurs and the Varian, you find yourself in a very awkward spot, since they can just simply lock anybody down with a quick charge, a taunt, Howling Blast, and then we have 2 direct damage dealers that can capitalize on that.
Inferno flies in on the bottom, and Darkmonk scared does burrow immediately. You have to respect that Falstad fly, and it looks like it could potentially be something that could go in for a kill. The bell tower does not fall due to that. Now, Team Liquid should be able to rotate in, poke it down, but their rotation onto the altar has been slowed down slightly. However, Tricked Esports is coming in from the top left, and remember that taunt being available could be enough to stop or get a kill on Hasselhoff or, of course, Malfurion. Here we go.
Cooldowns are still on 10 seconds for Team Liquid. They have a huge problem with it. Every ult is ready for Tricked, and they're trying to go in at this point. They're attempting to just zone for Knappe so that he can get the channel. Yep, there we have it. Hasselhoff. The interrupt isn't there. He didn't want to go too deep here, so they sacrifice another altar, and that's 3 points on the core for them.
Team Liquid going for the fight here, knowing they have to do something to get themselves back in the game. Big Boy Prison does come out, but Zeratul is taken away. Hasselhoff has to secure the win in the fight. Massive Horrify being hit. Can they focus Nape? They are. The silence has been used. Wonderful Twilight Dream, a 2-for-1. Big Burrow for Blumby. Rimmer being focused. Does he have Protect? Can he survive? He protects it in time with the drag. The tongue comes out. Blumby dies in. Eternal is focused, and Team Liquid will walk away with a team fight.
They are back with a vengeance here, getting 4 kills, really well done, and a great drag that we saw. Dartmoor going in with the tongue, able to connect, and they grab that bell tower now on top of it too. It's still only 3 points, and the boss is on the field right now, so it doesn't really matter what you do here. Either you grab a bell tower, either you escort a Zapper camp in, or you're gonna get the boss and you win if you're Tricked Esports. But now, with Team Liquid having that window of opportunity, they're very likely... Okay, they're not going for a bell tower, they grab the boss away and eliminate one of those pieces of the equation, but they also have now 5 against 3 bell towers thanks to the approach at the bot lane.
And the boss call is here just to make sure that if they did go to the bell tower and there's a boss afterwards, there was a possibility that Tricked Esports could come in and steal it, but you have to take the boss off the board so Tricked Esports doesn't sneak it, so they grabbed it first here just to make sure they don't have to deal with the Mighty Gust. Nice prioritization of them of the battleground and understanding what their opponents have. They move to the top, they get bell tower here, and now it's all about rotating and making sure not to get caught out by the epic mount into Mighty Gust combo.
So it's very likely this is going to come down to a final big team fight. Of course, you can attempt to play around your opponent. That's another option. But at this point, we have 6 against 2 bell towers. The one at the bot lane falls. That evens it up a bit. All that Trick needs is 3 points. If they get one of the altars, then it is over. That's something Team Liquid is aware of. So they need to be very careful that Eternal, for example, doesn't simply fly into the back and grabs that. So they need to make sure that nothing happens here, and Tricked is going to try and push them back so that they can simply channel through.
Intense moment here, Caldor. All heroics available. Also up starts to poke. Nurok on the right side, flanking around. Dahaka does grab the points. Blumby's getting low on health. We're going to have the Horrify coming out. Nurok goes in. He's focusing Falstad. Falstad's low on health. Nape will pop the Aegis. Darkmock going for the kill. Hasselhoff teleports around. Alex Aproji does get the kill on Nurok. Tricked Esports is taking the fight.
Darkmock missed the tongue earlier. That was a big problem. And Nubarak is down as well, and they get a triple kill. All of a sudden, Malfurion falls, and Hasselhoff is about to die as well. A team wipe as Tricked Esports gets the channel and will end this game. Great play by them. And in this case, Team Liquid not able to make it happen with the Dehaka on the backline. Was a good juke. Falstad able to survive because he juked the tongue, and then it just turned around against them. Too much damage. Way better game here that we just saw for Tricked Esports than before. And Team Liquid win for a game. It's tied.
We're tied up 1-1, just like that. It's good to see Tricked Esport have this moment. Even if we walk through the series, it becomes a 3-1 in the favor of Team Liquid. Having this game means so much for Tricked Esport, something you can look upon and say, hey, we played well. Let's go ahead and get ready for game number 3. We'll be right back. This is the HGC.
Is an adventure. I mean, have you seen this Nexus place? There's limitless worlds to explore. Constantly new things to see. Ew! Sure, there's danger too. What's an adventure without a little action? Oh, I can help with that. I am the Storm Scout after all. And for Storm Scouts, life is an adventure.
Terra Marines are the toughest frag magnets in the galaxy. But when they're in trouble, guess who they call? Medic! Winning a battle is more than just shooting enemy soldiers. It's about saving your own. I protect every member of my squad with my life. Sometimes I think I'm the only thing holding them together. Who am I? I'm Lieutenant Morales. I'm your man. I'm gonna need a lot of bandages.
We Bronzebeards are known across the whole of Azeroth. My eldest brother, Magni,